Tonight, disaster declared, 18 homes lost in a bushfire emergency on the Central Coast. Residents reliving the terror as the flames closed in. New fire threats to the north, Lake Macquarie suburbs on the doorstep to disaster as crews continue to battle blazes near Merriwa and Bulahdelah. A change of pace in Tamworth, winds more than 100 kilometres an hour and heavy rain lash the region. Also tonight, skiing with family, fine dining in Paris, Annika Wells under siege over a new bill blowout. And Australia on top, but England has shown some fight on day 4 of the second test.
This is NBN News with Jane Goldsmith.
Good evening. It arrived quickly and with plenty of force. Residents on the Central Coast have today recounted the moment fire took hold of their small community, claiming up to 18 homes. The Prime Minister has declared it a natural disaster, and the Premier today witnessed the devastation firsthand. Reporter Alexandra Rees begins our coverage from Coolewong. Alex, it's been another challenging weekend for fire crews.
Jane, it's been a massive 30 hours for firefighters here at Coolewong who are still working to bring the blaze under control. More than 120 hectares of land has so far been scorched, and while the fire is now at advice level, multiple households are tonight being urged to stay alert and keep across updates. It's been a devastating day for many. Residents have returned to their damaged properties for the first time to comb through what's left. Burning bright and angry, Mother Nature unleashes on the Central Coast. Alexandra Rees, NBN News.
Across the water to Woy Woy now, where residents are breathing a little easier tonight. A wind change helping turn the fire away from homes as crews work to contain it before the sun sets.
A small peninsula facing a big threat. Helene Lambetsos, NBN News.
It was the last thing our firefighters needed. Another large blaze breaking out in Lake Macquarie overnight. Beginning in Redhead, it quickly grew in size and haste this morning, threatening properties in neighbouring suburbs.
An emergency right on the doorstep of homes, firefighters facing a major threat.
And Bianca Werrett joins us live now from Redhead. Bianca, what's the situation there tonight?
Jane, firefighters tell me that around 90 hectares of bushland has now been scorched and that they're still working to contain it. As we go to air, crews... The fire does remain active, however, it's now been downgraded to an advice level. Crews will continue to monitor the conditions overnight and residents should stay informed through the Hazards Near Me app.
Bianca Werrett reporting there from Lake Macquarie, thank you. Meanwhile, more than 3,400 hectares of land has now been scorched at Bulahdelah on the mid-north coast. Firefighters today carrying out a back-burning operation along the Pacific Highway and through local fire trails as they work to control the blaze, which yesterday impacted local properties.
At the moment, we're looking at about 4 to 5 up here that have been either destroyed or damaged, but we still have building impact teams out looking at things today as well.
The defence against the fire has been bolstered by more than 80 RFS firefighters, as well as fire and rescue, national parks and forestry crews. A roof has been ripped off a home at Hallsville, just north of Tamworth, following a brief but intense storm that swept through the New England and northwest this afternoon. The tempest only lasted around 15 minutes but caused plenty of damage, with wind gusts of up to 107 kilometres an hour recorded. SES crews have been called to around 25 jobs in Tamworth and 5 in Armidale. More than 4,000 people throughout the region are without power. Lauren Kempe joins us now for a closer look at this week's weather. Lauren, tell us what's happening with this storm activity.
Well, Jane, we know that it's going to be a particularly active season ahead, but something else that we're contending with, which we haven't for years now, heading into summer, is a very dry landscape, which of course heightens the risk of dry lightning, potentially leading to increased fire activity as well. We'll see thunderstorms move into Queensland late this evening before a a day of calmer conditions tomorrow, and then a gradual build-up of heat once again, culminating in more storms across northern New South Wales, more towards the later end of this week. Slightly cooler temperatures locally tomorrow for us, topping out at 36 though in Scone, very, very hot, 28 in Taree, 25 degrees in Port Macquarie and 27 in Coffs Harbour. And Jane, I'll have a much closer look at the weather a little later.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Lauren. To other news now, and Cabinet Minister Annika Wells is once again being criticised over expenses billed to taxpayers. Receipts show a $1,000 Michelin-starred dinner in Paris and a family ski weekend in Thredbo.
When does work become a lurk?
The search continues for a man wanted over an alleged ram raid at East Ballina Pharmacy on Thursday. Officers are urging anyone with information on the whereabouts of 35-year-old Christopher Gordon to contact Crime Stoppers. The pharmacy has reopened after sustaining extensive damage. Detectives say medication was stolen from the dispensary. A public hearing on rural housing and second dwellings reform will be held in Tweed Heads tomorrow. The committee will hear from community members, farmers and council about their experience with housing regulations and construction. It follows a substantial number of submissions, including from Tweed and Lismore councils and Tyalgum District Community Association. Northern Rivers residents can now get a closer look at local work to improve water quality and reduce flood risks online. The insights on a long-awaited Rouse County Council program, which began last year.
A watershed moment for One Initiative's community engagement. Maya Roon, NBN News.
Port Macquarie residents are demanding dog owners better train their pooches. It follows a string of attacks at local parks and beaches.
It's a problem local dog trainer Jason Harris says is becoming all too common. Robert Nardella, NBN News.
And looking at the weather for the mid-north coast and the Northern Rivers, cooler for your Sunday with winds shifting from northwesterlies to cooler south-southeasterlies in the early afternoon. 32 for Port Macquarie, 29 at Grafton, 26 at Byron. You're watching NBN News. Still ahead, the Trump administration's direct message to Australia calling for a boost in military spending. The new measures helping keep sharks at bay this summer. And coated in custard, 4 people arrested after throwing desserts at the Crown Jewels in London. Russia has launched one of its biggest drone and missile strikes on Ukraine in months, killing at least 5 people while damaging critical power infrastructure and a railway hub. The strikes coincided with Ukraine's annual Army Day commemoration, during which President Volodymyr Zelensky visited wounded soldiers in Kyiv. Qatar's Prime Minister is urging Israel to fully withdraw troops from Gaza, warning a ceasefire is becoming increasingly fragile. Leaders in the Middle East believe the second phase of the deal can't be implemented without an international peacekeeping force in the region. Both Israel and Hamas are yet to agree on a path forward. The Trump administration has issued a direct message to Australia to boost our military spending. The Pentagon might have given AUKUS the green light, but today the man who heads it told allies they'll face consequences if they don't do their part.
America's Secretary of War says he's on a mission.
Coming up next, the latest information on fires burning across our region. Also coming up, beware the porch pirates. Timely advice from Australia Post this Christmas. A major vaccine shake-up in the US, the common jab that's been dumped. And back in the arms of their families, the crew of HMAS Brisbane is home. You're watching NBN News, recapping our top story now. New South Wales's bushfire disaster. Residents of Coolewong on the Central Coast have recounted the moment fire took hold, claiming up to 18 homes. It's been declared a natural disaster. Overnight, a new challenge at Redhead, a blaze growing in size to threaten properties in neighbouring suburbs at Lake Macquarie. After yesterday's property protection measures, more than 100 firefighters were back on scene at the massive 11,000-hectare Milsons Gully fire near Merriwa, strengthening containment lines. While at Bulahdelah, more than 3,400 hectares has been scorched, the focus back-burning around the Pacific Highway and local fire trails. 38 bush and grass fires are burning from the Central Coast to the Northern Rivers and across the northwest, all of them at advice level tonight. And on top of all of this, thunderstorms are putting firefighters on alert for the next few days. Near Tamworth, an afternoon tempest brought 100 km/h winds, damaging roofs. Fresh lava fountains have spewed from Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island, shooting more than 30 metres into the air. The lava is exploding from the north vent. The volcano has erupted almost continuously since 1983. Australia Post is warning online shoppers to be on high alert for parcel thieves targeting their Christmas deliveries. The Postal Service says porch pirates will be looking for a chance to strike quickly and quietly in the lead up to the festive season. It's time for sport now with Tyson Cottrill, and Australia will have to bat again to win the second test, Tyson.
Yeah, good evening, Jane. They remain on top, but for the first time this series, England has shown some grit with skipper Ben Stokes leading the way. We'll have all the highlights next. Also ahead, final hole heartbreak for Cam Smith at the Australian Open as victory slips away. And Oscar Piastri's message for Australia as he prepares to drive for an F1 World Championship. Cameron Smith has fallen short of a long-awaited win, finishing second at the Australian Open at Royal Melbourne. The Aussie had a chance to force a playoff but missed a gettable putt, handing Denmark's Rasmus Nygaard Petersen the Stonehaven Cup.
It's the putt that shattered Cam Smith's dreams.
After the break, a late surge by Sydney FC leads to heartbreak for the Mariners.
This report brought to you by Harvey Norman. Shop in store and online. Best brands, best range, best prices.
Oscar Piastri will have to defy the odds if he's to claim his first Formula One World Championship. Competing against rivals Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, Piastri will start from the second row of the grid early tomorrow morning at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
He's considered the underdog, but Aussie Oscar is a fan favourite in Abu Dhabi.
The mercury may have dipped in Port Macquarie for the last day of the New South Wales Touch Football State Cup, but Doyleson and Wests brought the heat in the Men's Open A Grand Final. It's been a successful night for our local board riders at the Australian Surfing Awards. The Central Coast's Molly Picklum was crowned this year's Female Surfer of the Year for the second time. From the Opens to the Juniors, winners have been crowned at the annual Fair Go Skate competition at Ballina, hosted by Truck Stop Skate. Competitors put on a display of their most daring tricks over the jam-packed two-day event.
It's Australia's longest-running skate competition, clocking up a quarter of a century.
We can help them.
Maya Roon, NBN News.
Jane, a busy weekend. They were able to take advantage of the sunshine.
Good to see some blue skies there for sure. Thank you, Tyson. But there is a severe thunderstorm warning current for damaging winds, large hailstones and heavy rainfall for parts of the Northern Rivers and the mid-north coast. Lauren Kempe will check all of your local weather details after the break. Now to our weekly Rewind series, direct from the NBN News archives. Tonight, a look back at the start of the Westpac Rescue helicopter service.
It was December 7, 1975, when NBN's new colour cameras hit the sand at Merriweather for the launch of Newcastle's first surf life-saving helicopter. Now, 50 years on, continues to be a lifeline for all of us in northern New South Wales.
Taking a look at the weather, well, we're in the land of extremes, and that's exactly what we've seen in the first week of summer. Severe storm activity ramped up this afternoon after big fire outbreaks across northern New South Wales, of course fueled by some of the hottest temperatures we have felt in years. The good news is it'll stay cool tomorrow, but more heat is on the way, and what's set to be a very active storm season is only just starting in our region. The cool change settled in this morning after a hot and rather uncomfortable night. A surface trough and strong southerly winds sweeping up the coast and taking a little bit of the sting out of that heat we have felt. A line of storms is right now moving up the coast towards southeast Queensland. Now, we should see this instability settle in the next few hours by around midnight or just after, and high pressure will begin to dominate the region on Monday and Tuesday. But another warm air mass will begin to build after this. Look, it won't be quite as significant as the last burst of heat, but it will still lead to more storm activity from around midweek through to next weekend as onshore winds feed into another surface trough. More typical summer-like temperatures across the board today, but the red centre is still red hot. We're topping out at 38 degrees in the Alice. Grey skies over Brisbane with a maximum of 28 and only slightly cooler in Sydney, with the city reaching a top of 26. Squally thunderstorms developing throughout the Sunshine State's southeast this evening after temperatures got up to 29 degrees at Coolangatta and 31 on the Gold Coast and in Brisbane. Predominantly southerly winds below 20 k's an hour tomorrow, and we can expect potentially heavy rain alongside those storm cells through to the early hours of this morning coming, and it will be drier throughout the course of the day. It'll be mostly sunny overhead tomorrow, thankfully, and reaching the mid to high 20s as our daytime maximums, only a slight increase on the overnight temps. Let's take a look at coastal conditions for our region. We've got 1 metre seas with a 1 metre swell. An early morning low tide tomorrow at 3:44 with the high at 10:45. Another low there at 5:30. Sun to rise around 4:45 and setting just after 6:30. Well, the Gold Coast over the next 7 days is looking like a mixed bag. We've got 26 degrees tomorrow and that storm activity easing for a slightly drier stretch midweek, but that storm activity will return there this time next weekend. In Coolangatta, it's a similar story. We've got plenty of storm activity over the course of the week, but only light to moderate falls at this stage. And in Brisbane, it's looking a little bit drier with a nice dry and sunny stretch there from Tuesday through to Thursday, but there are the storms there again on Friday through to Sunday. And checking out the surf across some of our local beaches today, this is Gallows on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Pretty clean sets. However, we can expect powerful waves to hit our coast over the next week or so as tropical lows develop around Australia. So, Jane, it's looking like a very active week for storms in our region.
Hard to believe summer's only just begun.
It is.
Thank you, Lauren. And that is NBN News for this Sunday. From all the team here, thanks for your company. Good night.